Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if it's your first time here, then welcome. So as you guys know, or maybe you don't, if it is your first time here, I do like my 5 best and 5 worst series where I talk about my 5 favorite and my 5 least favorite items from a specific category. Sometimes I like to just leave out the worst and just talk about the best if I'm feeling especially positive on a particular day. And today is that kind of day. I decided to put together my top 5 favorite drugstore neutral eyeshadow palettes. I really wanted to specifically talk about neutral eyeshadow palettes just because I feel like they're definitely the most used. They're also the most versatile. They can be used for absolutely anything. And if you have a collection or even 1 or 2 really great neutral eyeshadow palettes, those can sort of be the base for all of the other more fun palettes that you may be adding to your collection later on. So I've got some new favorites here as well as some old favorites. I'm super excited to talk about them with you guys. I really hope that you're going to enjoy today's video. And also let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me round up my top 5 high-end neutral palettes. And before I get into it, I also just want to say that you may or may not want to stick to the end of the video because it's very possible that there may be a giveaway waiting for you guys there. But I mean, you'll just have to wait to find out. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's get right into it. So I want to start off with one of my newest finds, but this has really become a palette that I have been using quite often. It's really become a staple in my collection. All of my most used makeup sits in my bedroom vanity where I do my makeup every day. And this particular palette has gotten really comfortable in that vanity and has really solidified a permanent home in that drawer. So that palette is the Pixie and Judy Time palette. So a common problem that I tend to run into a lot when it comes to drugstore eyeshadow palettes is that there are never really enough mattes inside of a palette. And matte eyeshadows are probably some of the most important eyeshadows to have in a collection just because they're sort of the builder block shades. They're also the most versatile. Mattes are also really hard to get right. If the formula is not perfect, then they could just look chalky and not blend properly. So when I find a drugstore palette that has really awesome mattes, it's always very, very exciting. And this one from Pixie and its Judy Time has probably some of the best matte shades that I've found in a drugstore palette thus far. So what I love most about this particular palette are the mattes. I find that the mattes in here just work as well as any other like high-end eyeshadow palette that I have in my collection. There are also quite a few mattes in here. There's not just like 1 or 2. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is really, really great. And the actual like tonal range and the shade range is also quite nice. You have your deeper browns, but they both have different undertones. One is a little bit more cool and the other one is a little bit more warm. You also have some nice neutral browns that are a little bit lighter that work really well as transition shades. And of course, you also have your really nice warm browns that of course a lot of people really, really love. So I think that that variety is really, really nice in this particular palette. And like I said, the formula of the mattes are really great. I actually use quite a few of them in my crease today and they just blend really nicely on the eye. They're not chalky or choppy. And not only are the mattes in here really nice, but of course the shimmery shades in here are also gorgeous. When you touch them, they feel super buttery, and that buttery texture is really what I look for when it comes to those more shimmery shades because I feel like that's when they really pop on the lid. I don't find that I need to apply like any type of setting spray or MAC Fix Plus to really make them stand out. My only critique on this palette is that I wish that this black shade was matte because it does have a little bit of shimmer in it, which really isn't my thing. I never really reach for shimmery black shades, but that is really like my only con, which really isn't that big of a deal. It is slightly more expensive for the drugstore. I believe it's about $20 US, but I do think it's totally worth the few extra bucks because the quality and just the amount of product that you get is so nice. So I really wanted to put a little spotlight on this eyeshadow palette from e.l.f. This is the Matte for Matte palette. Obviously, as the name suggests, this is a completely matte palette. So what's really great about this particular palette is that if you do have this in your collection, you have a lot of your great like basic matte shades that you need to complete a lot of eye looks. Similar to the Pixie palette, the mattes just work really well. They blend well. They have a nice amount of pigmentation. I've never had any issues with them. I also used a few of these shades in my eye look today as well, and you can see things are looking really nice and blended. Size is also really great. It's nice and slim and small, so if you're putting this in a makeup bag, it's not going to take up a ton of room, and a lot of the times eyeshadow palettes could sometimes be like this big, so it's always nice to have something that's nice and small. I also really like that the tonal range in here is not like solely warm toned. You've got some warm shades over here, but also cool shades over here. So that just makes it very versatile. If you want to do a warm look one day and a cool look the other, this will sort of help you do both. So if you're looking for a really great neutral matte palette, then the e.l.f. Matte for Matte is definitely a really great option. So this next eyeshadow palette is an oldie but a goodie for me. I've had this in my collection for quite some time. This is the NYX Avant Pop Nouveau Chic palette, and what I really love about this palette is that it is quite neutral, but it also has some really great pops of color in here. But the pops of color aren't like super intense and in your face. It's not like a really, really bright purple and a super vibrant green. I find them to be quite muted and very wearable, so they do complement the more neutral shades really, really nicely. So I think that if you're trying to dabble in a little bit more color, but you're not really sure like how bright and vibrant you want to go, I think this is a great palette to start off with because it does have those bright shades in here, but they're not super intense that they like call out bright color when they're actually on your eyes. So other than that, I feel like NYX eyeshadows are pretty great all around. The mattes work really well. It's all the adjectives that you hear all the time when it comes to describing mattes. And then the shimmers in here, similar to the shimmers in the Pixie palette, aren't like super glittery or in your face. They sort of just have a very soft metallic sheen, and when you swatch them, you can tell that they're very, very buttery. So it really is that texture that I really like. So overall, I think this is a great neutral palette with a little bit of like a wearable pop of color. So next, I wanted to talk about the new Maybelline City Mini palettes. I've been using these quite a bit lately, and I think that they're really, really great. They do come in a few different like shade varieties, but these are the two that I've been loving quite a bit, so they're the two that I wanted to mention. And I do know that Makeup Shayla also came out with a palette with them. I have yet to try it because I haven't been able to find it in my local pharmacies. I have heard that that one is also amazing, so I just wanted to put that out there. So I think Maybelline did a really, really awesome job with these palettes. I find them to be really different than other drugstore palettes that I have found at the drugstore. I find that they have some shades that are a little bit more unique. So these palettes are not like a one-stop shop type of deal. These are the palettes that you sort of have to pair with another matte palette, so that is something that I sort of wanted to put out there. Most of them only have about one matte shade, which typically is not enough to be able to complete like a whole entire eye look. There's a mix of textures that are in here. There's like metallic shades that don't really have like actual pieces of glitter or shimmer in them, and then there are shimmery shades and then very, very glittery shades. So it definitely gives you like a really nice mixture and different options for lid shades. Now what really impressed me about this palette are the glittery and the really shimmery eyeshadows, because sometimes when it comes to like shimmery and glittery eyeshadows, they could look really, really amazing and beautiful and multi-dimensional in the pen, but as soon as you apply them to the lid, it looks just completely flat, and it does not even look even similar to what it looks like in the actual eyeshadow palette, just because the glitter or the shimmer may not necessarily translate. However, with these eyeshadow palettes, I don't find that that's the case at all. The glitter and the shimmer really does show up and pop on the eyes, which I think is so beautiful. Today, I actually used the green palette on my eyes. This one is called Urban Jungle. I used the matte forest green all over my lid, which first of all is so impressive to me because I find it really difficult to find a really great like deep matte forest green. I did have to build it up just a little bit, but once it was built up, it looked really nice and rich and intense. As you can see, I am wearing it obviously on my eyes. And then what I did is I took this shade over here, and this is a green with a lot of very visible gold shimmer in it, and I patted it right on top of my lid, and the gold really does like come through and pop, and it almost looks like I just put like a shimmery gold top coat on the top of my lid, and it just looks so, so pretty. And I also didn't notice that there was a ton of fallout either, which is always awesome when it comes to glitter, because it is such a pain in the ass when you finish off your makeup and you're doing your eyeshadow and you just have glitter all over your face. This doesn't really do that, although just to be sure, like just to be really safe, I would recommend with any glitter eyeshadow to apply it before applying your foundation and concealer, just in case you do get a little bit of fallout. Now I know this video is all about neutral palettes, but I did want to recommend the green palette in particular, just because I do find that green could definitely be used as a neutral. And again, I think it's a really great color to use when you don't want to be too loud with your eye look, but you still want something different than just your typical browns. This is a really great option. And then this one over here, like I said, is another one that I wanted to recommend. This one is called Rooftop Bronzes. For me, these are actually the shades that I most often go towards when I want to apply a lid shade. You've got like your shimmery champagne. You also have a copper, a bronze, more of like a cool tone brown, and then a really nice vanilla shimmery shade, which also works great as like a brow bone and inner corner highlight. So last but not least, this is another palette that has been in my collection for quite some time. This is the CoverGirl True Naked Goldens palette, and this one is in the shade 810 Goldens. This is another one of those palettes that has more shimmery shades than matte shades. You only have 2 matte shades in here. You've got a matte cream and more of like a matte taupe. So this is another one where you're gonna have to reach into other palettes in order to finish off an eye look. But the reason why I wanted to recommend this palette is because of like these beautiful, beautiful metallic shades that just look so gorgeous on the lid. I actually swatched a few on my hand just because I couldn't really help myself, and I also wanted to show you guys how beautiful they look. They really are just quite like reflective and very intense. Again, when you touch them, here's that word again, it's very buttery and very like smooth. They don't feel chunky in the slightest. And what I really like about them is that they are quite like multi-dimensional. When they're on the eye, they really do catch the light really beautifully. And what I also love about this palette is that it's not like your typical neutral shades in here. You do have some nice greens that are very wearable. They're not super bright greens. They have a bit more of like a taupey undertone to them, so it makes them very, very easy to wear. And so these two are probably some of my favorites in this palette. And this shade in particular, right over here, is another one of my favorites. It doesn't look like anything special in the palette, and I feel like the camera's not even picking it up like it should, but it's basically like a white gold. And when you shift your hand back and forth, or when it's on your eye and your eye like catches the light, it has like a really very flattering like just gold shift to it. And those are some of my favorite shades just to like pop all over the lid, put on the inner corner just to really brighten things up. So I think if you were to get something like the Mad for Mattes palette from e.l.f. and then you were to get maybe like the CoverGirl palette, you have like so many options to create so many looks because you have such great lid shades here and then all of your matte shades here. Even the Pixie palette would work really, really well together. So yeah, that is it. Those are all of my favorite neutral palettes currently from the drugstore. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it and found this video helpful. Please let me know all of your thoughts down below. Have you tried any of these palettes? If so, what are your experiences with them? And what are some of your favorite neutral palettes from the drugstore? I would really love to get some of your recommendations. So now it is time to talk about that little giveaway that I spoke about earlier. So this giveaway is truly for no particular reason. I just love giving back to you guys. You guys are always so supportive and sweet and just wonderful. So I have a little something here that I think you're gonna be really excited about. What I'm going to be giving away to one winner is this little hourglass package right over here. Are you guys ready? I am giving away the entire Hourglass Confession lipstick collection. So one winner is going to be getting basically the whole entire collection of the Confession lipstick. There may be like 1 or 2 shades missing just because like I use those 1 or 2 shades, so I'm not going to obviously give them away, but all of the shades that are unused, which I believe are like 99% of them, I think there's only 1 or 2 missing, one winner will be receiving. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think this is a pretty exciting prize, if I say so myself. To enter, it's gonna be really simple. This is what I do in all of my giveaways, and it just works out great. It organizes it really, really nicely. So all you're gonna do is just click the link that's in the description box down below. It's gonna bring you to a separate page. All you gotta really do to enter this giveaway is be subscribed. So this link is basically just going to confirm that you are subscribed to my channel, and it will enter you. And if you already follow me or want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, that will also give you extra entries into the giveaway. It's really, really straightforward and super, super easy to do. The giveaway is gonna last 1 week. The exact date will be listed down below, and I will be announcing the winner on my Snapchat as well as on my Instagram stories. So be sure you check back in a week from now for the announcement, and I will also put the name of the winner in the description box down below to make it really nice and simple, and I will be contacting them via email. And please, 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 no messages ask me to pick you as the winner, because I mean, that's just not how the giveaway works. The winner is always randomly picked, and I like to keep it obviously as fair as possible. And this will also be international. So yeah, all the information will be down below if that went too fast for you. Other than that, I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.